Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to another Quran study. Today we'll be reading from Surah 27, the Ant. Starting at verse 23, let's all seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I found a woman ruling them who is blessed with everything and possesses a tremendous palace. I found her and her people prostrating before the sun instead of God. The devil has adorned their works in their eyes and has repulsed them from the path. Consequently, they are not guided. They should have been prostrating before God, the one who manifests all the mysteries in the heavens and the earth, and the one who knows everything you conceal and everything you declare. So picking up from where we left off on the last study, this is talking about Sheba. So we remember that the Hupe was bringing news to Solomon, and this is some of the news he brought back, that the Queen of Sheba and her people, the Queen of Sheba and her people were worshiping other than God. They were prostrating, before the sun, and it's also, noted that the devil has adorned their works in their eyes and repulsed them from the path of God. So they aren't guided, and this is all made possible, like the Hupe and the information that's being conveyed is because God specifically gave Solomon and I believe David too knowledge of the language of the birds, so he could teach them what this means in the human language, and vice versa. They had that streamline of communication between them, and so they were able to understand each other, and that's something that's designated to Solomon, and it's not no other people or people today can't do the same thing, or can't communicate in this fashion. So we're told here that they should have been prostrating before God, the one who manifests all the mysteries in the heavens and the earth, and the one who knows everything you conceal and everything you declare. So, this is always love this verse, because it's like we're told from the Quran, God knows the seen and the unseen, and he's the most honorable Lord and Master, and he's the only one worthy of worship. So they're prostrating before, like a small speck in the creation, which is the sun, which is actually, it's very enormous and huge and intense, and it's like heat and power, in a sense, like it, what it generates and stuff. But and relatively speaking to other parts of all these other mysteries in the universe, like you have nebulas and and then the time and the space, these different dimensions and the unseen. I mean, that thing, it's really trivial and compared to this. So it's just, we're able to see the greatness of God, and how he's the only one worthy of worship, and he also knows everything we conceal and everything we declare. So this is a good reminder, and we're told this throughout the Quran too. So it helps us, reminds us that all our thoughts and subsequently our words and our actions will be pleasing to God, if we keep this in mind. So verse 26, God, there is no other God beside him, the Lord with the great dominion. Solomon said, "We will see if you told the truth or if you are a liar. Take this letter from me, give it to them, then watch for their response." So, Solomon is, I guess testing this bird, or the Hupe, which I looked up the Hupe. They're really intelligent birds, but maybe, they have a certain characteristic to them, because I know all the birds, when Solomon summoned them, as we read earlier in the chapter, they were all, I think, like lined up, or they showed up for some type of roll call or attendance. That's not really the right phrase, but just for understanding. But the hoopoe was gone, so, but he was off, or he or she was off, whatever gender the bird was. It was off, observing the people of Sheba, so, and this is the news it came back with. So Solomon is testing, in the sense, like, okay, we'll see if you're, telling the truth, or the news that you brought is truthful, or if the hoopoe is just making this up. So it's, he says, take this letter from me, give it to them, then watch for their response. So he's going to bring back the letter from Solomon to Sheba, and then, document or note the response, and bring it and report back to Solomon. So back in Sheba, she said, "O my advisors, I have received an honorable letter. It is from Solomon, and it is in the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful." And we have a footnote here I'll get to in a second, God willing. Proclaiming, "Do not be arrogant, come to me as submitters." She said, "O my advisors, counsel me in this matter. I am not deciding anything until you advise me." So I'll go ahead and read the footnote. And I believe this is, so the footnote for verse 30 says, "The Bismillah included in this verse compensates for the Bismillah that is missing from Surah 9, which is 19 surahs earlier. This restores the total occurrence of Bismillah to 114, 19 times 6. See Appendix 29 for details of a vast and profound miracle attached to this Bismillah. So yeah, this is a huge thing, because the missing Bismillah in Surah 9, if I remember correctly, and God willing, we can talk about that after in the discussion portion. But if I remember correctly, it was maybe chosen, I think, because of the title of the surah is Ultimatum, and how the surah starts out and what it's talking about. It's giving an ultimatum to the pagans and the disbelievers. And God is the most gracious and most merciful, but these pagans and what these people continue doing, they can't abuse this type of mercy. So it was, I think, specifically, alhamdulillah, it was chosen. It didn't happen, just go missing from that surah by accident. It was a design, because of what the surah was talking about. But we see it's made up here, right here, and and there's mathematical proofs behind this too, and you can see Appendix 29 for more details. Next one, it says, she said, "O my advisors, counsel me in this matter. I'm not deciding anything until you advise me." They said, "We possess the power, we possess the fighting skills, and the ultimate command is in your hand. You decide what to do." So we can see she, the Queen of Sheba, she acted, I guess, with wit. She's not wise for, worshiping the sun with her people. But later on, we're told that it'll say she belonged to a disbelieving group of people. So maybe she was good in the sense, worthy of redemption. But we can see, she's not acting like a lot of maybe typical corrupt leaders or kings, or even queens for that matter, which would just be ready to go to war or something. But so she's seeking counsel with her advisors. But we can see also here that her advisors aren't that wise. They're going to try to challenge Solomon, which we'll see later what the response would be. But we can see Solomon's inviting her to the best path, to become submitters and to do not be arrogant in that matter. She said, "The kings corrupt any land. They invade and subjugate its dignified people. This is what they usually do. I am sending a gift to them. Let us see what the messengers come back with." So, yeah, she's right in the sense, that the kings, of a lot of kings, this is what they do. But as we know, Solomon was a extremely righteous king. He's the most powerful king that ever lived. And God, gave him all types of wealth and blessings and stuff to understand the language of the birds and to have the jinns in his service and stuff. So, she sends a gift back to them, and I guess she's going to see the response. When the Huppe returned to Solomon, he told him the news, and he responded to Sheba's people. So he said, "Are you giving me money? What God has given me is far better than what he has given you. You are the ones to rejoice in such gifts." So, yeah, Solomon, he realizes that these material things like money or maybe these interesting, cool-looking ornaments or fancy gifts or whatever, nice golden cups. Who knows what she sent him? He knows that, or gold, money. He knows that what God possesses is far better, and what God has even given Solomon is far better. And he's, also tells him, you're just the typical type of people to rejoice in such gifts, because we can see, they were idol worshipers, or they are idol worshipers at this time. So he has a good point he's making. 37, to Huppe he said, "Go back to tell them and let them know that we will come to them with forces they cannot imagine. We will evict them, humiliated and debased." So this is he's warning these people. He's having the Huppe return the message. Along with this response, as well as letting them know, like, if you don't come and come to Solomon as submitters, and they're going to be evicted and debased. So due to their transgressions of worshiping these false gods and stuff in the sun. So verse 38, faster than the speed of light. He said, "O you elders, which of you can bring me her mansion before they arrive here as submitters?" One, Afrit from the jinn, said, "I can bring it to you before you stand up. I am powerful enough to do this." The one who possessed knowledge from the book said, "I can bring it to you in the blink of your eye." When he saw it settled in front of him, he said, "This is a blessing from my Lord, whereby he tests me, and to show whether I am appreciative or unappreciative. Whoever is appreciative for his own good, and if one turns unappreciative, then my Lord is in no need for him, most honorable." So, alhamdulillah, we can see the the power that these jinns have, that obviously that comes directly from God. Only God possesses all the power, but we can see their abilities and stuff that they're given, and so Solomon is consulting them in the sense he's consulting them, asking them which one of them can bring her mansion or palace here. And we see a Frit. I think I looked up that word a while back, and I think it refers to like a very powerful jinn. So because among the jinns, and creatures, there was in the beginning too. There was some with different capabilities and stuff. So an Afrit is a jinn that I guess is very powerful in comparison to most other jinns. But we see one who possessed knowledge from the book said, I can bring it to you in the blink of your eye. And so, this is, obviously he knew some type of, maybe he was a righteous jinn and he possessed knowledge from, something from the previous scriptures. I mean, even from the book, it could have been the book of Moses, I'm not sure. Or the Torah, and, he was righteous, and so he, consequently, he, he's able to, maybe given, better ability to move that, carry out this command for Solomon. And so, when Solomon sees this stuff settled in front of him, he doesn't, this is a good lesson for people, but he doesn't become overwhelmed with power, or it doesn't get to his head, because he just commanded that, this huge ordeal that would normally take humans. I mean, who knows how far this palace was, but it could take humans. At that time, it could take them 5 years or something, or maybe 10 years or longer, just to go out there, disassemble everything, and have to reassemble it, or maybe have to get new material. And who knows? Because we even see at the time of the Romans, which is far after this, it took them 40 years sometimes to just bore through mountains to be able to transport stuff, because they can't go over the mountain, or they cut across these rivers, and all this stuff. It takes literally decades. And they had pretty advanced engineering and technology for their time, but we see how long it takes them. And this happened instantly, so we can see Solomon is very appreciative and for God, and he sees this also as a test, as being appreciative and for his own good, and versus if one turns unappreciative, then we're told that God is in no need for that person. Most honorable. So verse 41, he said, remodel her mansion for her, let us see if she will be guided or continue with the misguided. When she arrived, she was asked, does your mansion look like this? She said, it seems that this is it. Solomon said, we knew beforehand what she was going to do, and we were already submitters. She had been diverted by worshiping idols instead of God. She belonged to disbelieving people. So, he tells the jinn, I guess, to remodel her mansion for her, and to see, because he knows this, she probably, as he said, maybe we could talk about that after the discussion, because when he says we knew beforehand what she was going to do and we were already submitters, so I guess that's maybe referring to maybe she had she wanted to be maybe a submitter, or she was one of the good souls, perhaps, and maybe that knowledge could have been given to Solomon or something, or maybe not, but obviously she was worthy of being redeemed, as we'll see in a second. But we see, he gives her a great, really a miracle or some type of proof or sign, and he asked her like a rhetorical question, if her mansion looks like this, and so if she's guided, obviously she's gonna be like, oh my goodness, praise be to God, like this is incredible, or if she's not guided, or if it was somebody else, that wasn't guided in her place, they would just disbelieve, or still decide to disbelieve and worship their gods, despite seeing a really amazing sign. And maybe, I think maybe the we here could be, I don't know if that's referring to God and angels or something, or if it's Solomon, but I'm not sure. But 43, She had been diverted by worshiping idols instead of God. She belonged to disbelieving people. She was told, "Go inside the palace." When she saw its interior, she thought it was a pool of water, and she pulled up her dress, exposing her legs. He said, "This interior is now paved with crystal." She said, "My Lord, I have wronged my soul. I now submit with Solomon to God, Lord of the universe." So, praise be to God. She saw, and she could see, immediately she recognized the proof and the truth, and, she recognized that she had wronged her soul, with the things, or she was doing, and she was really, she'd been diverted by worshiping idols instead of God, so, maybe the people she belonged to or something, they were, pretty bad people themselves, and, maybe it's all, who knows, but, yeah, we see this, how she took heed, and, we can see, just the awesomeness of just, an occurrence like this, how this is so easy for God to do, so, it's really a great, a great sign for, and it also, we're also seeing like how merciful God is, because instead of, just annihilating these people, I mean, it's been the same with every messenger and prophet, if there's people that are wronging their souls by worshiping and sinning and committing transgressions, they, God will send them some type of information or news to give up their nonsense and turn to God and submit to God. So we can see she took heed, and she wasn't just wiped out. God, gives us a chance, gives everybody a chance. So 45, Saleh. We have sent to Thamud, their brother Saleh, saying, "You shall worship God," but they turned into two feuding factions. He said, "O my people, why do you hasten to commit evil instead of good works? If only you implore God for forgiveness, you may attain mercy." They said, "We consider you a bad omen for us, you and those who joined you." He said, "Your omen is fully controlled by God. Indeed, you are deviant people." So, Saleh was sent to the people of Thamud, and I mean, we know what happened to those people. I think they were either wiped out by the earthquake or the tornado winds. I don't remember. Ad and Thamud. It was one or the other. But he goes to them and he's asking them, why are they committing evil instead of good works? If only you implore God for forgiveness, you may attain mercy. So despite people's crimes in the beginning, in the first life, and then not repenting and wanting to go through the test, and then coming here on this earth again and still failing, despite having that instinct in our hearts to worship God, He's still most gracious, most merciful, so it's, we may attain mercy, so this is God giving these people a chance, and there's no injustice. God is the most just, as we're told, so, if these people are wiped out, we can't feel sorry for them, or any people for that matter, or hypocrites, or disbelievers, like disbelievers in the sense that they've, completely made a stand against God, and there's no hope. You can't feel sorry for these people, because it's kind of like we're saying we know better than God. If we're trying to, but God knows these people way better than we do. He knows their souls. He knew them in the beginning. So He knows the innermost parts of every human being. And we see the response, how they're trying to call him a bad omen, and I guess he's saying, like, it's your omen your quote-unquote omen is fully controlled by God. So I guess he's referring to himself, because they called him an omen, and he's just saying, well, your omen, quote-unquote, is, I guess he's saying that, he's fully controlled by God, so that's, he's bearing witness that God is controlling everything, God is running everything, and he's just reminding them that they're deviant people. So, and it's funny because they look at, someone who's inviting them to righteousness as a bad omen, because, like, inherently, it's like humans should know, like, the clear distinction between good and evil. Like, if you have an evil omen or something, or you see, like, these horror movies, not that I've watched them, but, I mean, they come on TV or a trailer or something, or you hear about them, and one of them was even named something like the Omen, and it's just, like, nothing but evil, wicked-looking people, or, stuff on the screen, or in the trailers in the theater, and it's I mean, in the sense that omen's usually used as like a word, like kind of in a negative connotation, but we can see how astray these people are, that they consider someone who's righteous and pure and clean in their lives, and inviting them to God, they're considering him like as something bad. So we just see how twisted up these people are, and how much Satan has tricked these people. So there were 9 gangsters in the city who were wicked and never did anything good. They said, "Let us swear by God that we kill him and his people." Then tell his tribe, "We know nothing about their death. We are truthful." So you can see that just the wickedness on these 9 evildoers in the city. They were gonna try to kill Saleh, and as we're told in other parts of the Quran, I think it was Saleh too, that they also referred to him in other parts of the Quran. They talk about Saleh's tribe and said, like, we used to respect you because of your tribe and all that, but he's saying you should not fear my tribe, or you shouldn't have respect for my tribe. These are just humans, I'm paraphrasing, but you should have reverence and respect for God. So it just shows, how ignorant and foolish these people are, and just, they're the exact opposite of truthful. They're liars. But we'll see in this verse how God protects the believers. They plotted and schemed, but we also plotted and schemed while they did not perceive. Note the consequences of their plotting. We annihilated them and all their people. Here are their homes utterly ruined because of their transgression. This should be a lesson for people who know. So these people, they thought they were plotting and scheming and they were gonna lie about, or they were gonna try to kill Saleh and kill him, and then lie about it to his tribe, because they probably would have, Saleh's tribe probably would have reacted and gone after them or something. So, but God plots and schemes, so he's the best schemer. And also want to, point out, like, this scheming in this sense doesn't, mean like it's bad, because, like, there was this one person that was trying to argue with me. I think it was he was from, like, whatever, he wasn't from this country, he was from another country, and he was an idol worshiping Christian, or quote unquote Christian, and he was trying to use, like, I'd given him a lot of proofs and information, and he seemed to be kind of convinced, but then he tried saying, like, how he didn't even understand the distinction between the God or he thought there was a distinction between the God of the previous scriptures and Allah, or of the Quran. He didn't understand that, but I explained it to him. But he also tried to use this verse about how saying God is schemes, and he was like, what type of God schemes? Like, wouldn't that be but I explained to him that's he's reading into it wrong, and You know, I mean, as we know, like the Quran, it's sijin for the disbelievers. It could be sijin even for non-Muslims, you know, or non-traditional Arabs or quote unquote Muslims from wherever. It could be sijin even for people from other factions and religions. But I mean, I explained to him well that you know, it's not scheming if you're planning against an evil. If you're making plans to fight evil, it's you know, it's not like the scheming in the bad sense. But he didn't. He just lacked understanding. Let's see. So, okay. Yeah. So scheming is, thank you, brother Suleiman. Yeah, scheming is not a bad word. It's evil scheming is bad. And so, yeah, that's what I was trying to tell him, but he was closed off and he just didn't want to see the truth, you know. So if I were to scheme against you know, these evil, let's say, magicians or something, or these pagans who are trying to kill the believers, you know, that's great, you know. So God is the best schemer, and obviously, you know, these evil people were annihilated, and that's what I told this guy. I said, you know, you can't. It's not evil scheming if you're scheming, you know. But yeah, that was just a something I ran into, because he tried to use this verse and say, oh, Allah is not a good God, you know, because it's, but it's, you know, God's running everything. Here, their homes utterly ruined because of their transgressions. This should be a lesson for people who know. We save those who believe and lead a righteous life. So yeah, this is like the ticket, you know, like, and it's not. I shouldn't maybe say it like that, because it's not just like an easy ticket you just get or something. You have to obviously persevere and strive and stay on the path. And I mean, that's what leading a righteous life is, you know, because you're gonna have tests throughout life, and you're gonna you know, you're gonna have so many opportunities to grow your soul, to allow you to get stronger and make life easier, you know. So things that used to, let's say, affect you or have influence on you no longer have that power over you, you know. So, and that, you know, consequently you don't have problems, and it's you know, you have eventually, you know, you can have happiness, like real happiness, you know, not this pseudo or fake happiness that a lot of people are chasing after. You know, and this should be a lesson for people who know, you know. So yeah, this is where there's so many, this is like a really big theme or common. We see this a lot throughout the Quran about how the disbelievers, the enemies of God, they will always be wiped out, you know. But it's not unjustly, you know. It always happens after they disobey the warning again and again, pretty much, you know. So there's no, they're not able to be redeemed because they choose not to. Lot said to his people, "How could you commit such an abomination publicly while you see? You practice sex with the men lustfully instead of the women. Indeed, you are ignorant people." You know, so yeah, he's asking them a good question. It's an abomination, because I think prior to Lot, there was never anything like this. It's, you know, we have other examples of, like, you know, what happened and what was said during the time of Lot. And we're also told, and I don't remember which part of the Quran, but he says to his people, no one on earth has ever committed or done this other before you. You know, so it's some type of wickedness that obviously Satan has invited them to do, and you know, it's worse because I guess, like, when I see this, I'm assuming like Lot is saying, like, okay, these people know that this stuff is wrong and it's evil and it's bad, but they still continue in it, you know, versus just not realizing that, But so they obviously can see, they have eyes, and but they don't, they're just maybe extremely rebellious and evil. Their only response from his people, was their saying, "Banish Lot's family from your town. They are people who wish to be pure." So yeah, this is kind of, yeah. So this makes sense. So they know like that they're, I guess they know like that they're wicked and sick, mentally, and in the heart too. And they realize that Lot is actually someone who, and Lot's family are people who actually wish to be pure. So they're, I mean, like, why would you, like, if you offered somebody to sleep in a clean, nice bed versus to sleep in a bed with a bunch of bed bugs or fleas, it's like every human being, I mean, even bad humans would not choose the dirty bed. So I mean, this is like, I guess perhaps showing their degree of just rebellion and wickedness. And they're also, they're trying to banish him. So this is their, as we're told in the Quran, these the disbelievers that, you're not to befriend. I mean, obviously he's not befriending, but we're given examples of the enemies of God who try to banish people from their homes and stuff, and evict them from their homes. But we know God is going to save the believers and annihilate the disbelievers. So consequently, we saved him and his family, except his wife. We counted her among the doomed. We showered them with a certain shower. It was a miserable shower upon people who had been warned. So yeah, we see what happened to these people, and for whatever reason, God did not save Lot's wife. And the Quran is the ultimate source. We don't go to any other sources in the Quran, but and having said that, I mean, we're told in the Bible, but I guess we can take it with a grain of salt, because they have a lot of nonsense in there too. But we're told that Lot's wife was turned back or something, and she looked at, she wasn't supposed to turn back, and then she was turned into a pillar or a bunch of salt or something. She was somehow wiped out. And I guess how this is, or what it was taught, like she still coveted the home and everything, and maybe had the lust for the materials and all that, and she was rather, she was missing what was happening despite, God's orders, and to leave these wicked people. But I mean, we shouldn't, that was just, I guess, yeah, so we showered them a miserable shower. It was a miserable shower upon people who had been warned. Make no distinction among God's messengers. Say, praise be to God and peace be upon his servants to whom he chose. Is God better, or the idols some people set up? So, yeah, it's, this is, we shouldn't make distinction among God's messengers, or, I mean, of course, we're told like they had different, they went to different people and had different purposes, and they were given, different things. Like David was given the Psalms and stuff. But like the distinction, what I think about, like when this comes up, is like I've heard from a lot of like Sunnis, or in the past, like years ago, I would hear whenever they would mention Muhammad, they would say they would literally say, this is one guy, Mufti Mink. They would say he's the highest of creation, like he's the highest of creation, like higher than all the other prophets. He's higher than every human being, and they were probably even maybe referring to he's higher than angels too, knowing them. Which, I mean, they're still making distinctions, and they're saying he's this and that, So they shouldn't. That's not good to do. So yeah, we see here, and God is the best. So what the idols that these people set up are obviously they don't even compare. You know, they can't even create a fly or feed or water us, you know, or heal us when we're sick. So this is just, you know, asking the obvious question, you know. So with this being said, I guess if there are any comments or questions, God willing, we can open the discussion. Thank you.
MashaAllah, brother, very good study. Thank you.
MashaAllah, God bless you, brother.
MashaAllah, thank you. God bless you too.
MashaAllah, thanks.
MashaAllah.
So I have a question about the verse where we read about the mention that the guy who had knowledge from the book could bring. I always thought this was like not a mention, but something to sit on, you know. But is this like something as a huge construction, or is it something small? Or does mention in this context mean like a building, maybe a small building? I don't know.
Yeah, like a mansion, like a building, yes.
Okay, and then like she comes there,
like a
she
big
sees
building.
the building.
Yeah.
It's a big building, you mean?
Yeah, like a palace.
Oh, it's a palace. Okay, so then she comes there, and then she sees the palace, which is identical to her palace, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then, of course, she's shocked. Like, who wouldn't be? Then she goes inside that palace. Did he add extra things in the palace, like when she goes inside and then like she thinks there's water, while these are like maybe tiles, right?
Well, it's crystal.
Oh, crystal. Yeah, sorry.
Crystal.
So he added those things to that mansion that they brought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then she can see like, okay, these people are like much better than ours, and the God that they are worshiping, that should be the true God, because this convinces her that Suleiman and his religion is superior to hers. Is that the whole concept?
Well, I mean, yeah. So, well, I mean, the thing is that first of all, the mansion is transported within the blink of an eye, right? And so that in itself is a huge deal. Obviously, nobody has the power to do that. So she sees that God has given Solomon immense powers, and so there must be something special. And then when the mansion is remodeled for her, also, first of all, the thing is the transportation, but also remodeling something obviously is going to take time, right? And then, but not only is this like any kind of remodeling, he has paved it with crystal. I mean, crystal obviously involves them having to heat it and everything, right? And so they heated it, and the jinns, however they did it, obviously they're made of fire and all that, right? So, and then they cooled it, so now it's like fully done, and it's done in a way that, obviously I'm not an expert on crystal, but of course it has to be, for it to have that look of like water, you'd have to spread it very evenly and carefully so that it gives you that clear effect, right? So I mean, for us, like we can't do it like manually. As for humans, it has to be done through like some kind of mechanical process for it to be all smooth and even, and straight and all that, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
must have. So she saw that it's paved with crystal, and also realized that that is impossible, too. And so she was definitely, it definitely caused her to take heed from the message and
Mm.
accept.
Okay, so but this is her mention that they brought there, or was it like, oh yeah, it should be right because he said
It
you can
was her
bring it to
actual
me.
mention, yes.
Yeah, the actual mention. Okay, so when they go back to their place, they wouldn't see the mention.
So they'll probably bring it back, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder, were there people inside? Did those people came with the mention? Like,
Right. So I mean, it was like the way I understand it. It's like if you go to like a palace or something. It's not like they brought the whole entire, like if it's the White House, right? I mean, they're not going to bring the entire building and the backyard and all the servants' homes and everything
only the
else. They
building, of
just
course, yeah.
they just brought her mention out of
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and
but
that
it was
convinces her
transported within
that.
the blink of an eye. So I mean, whoever else was there, I mean, probably in the blink of an eye, they were all just left there. They just brought the mansion, from what we see, not the
Mm,
other people in the mansion.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, mashallah.
Okay, so and then if I'm not mistaken, the messenger talks about this, and um, this the one who brings the mention is like it's not a human, right? It's
Yeah,
one of the
one of
jinns,
the most
correct?
powerful jinns.
Oh, okay, because they can go like faster than the speed of
Hmm.
light, right?
Yeah,
Oh, so that's why they can do those things. Okay. Mm. So like the thing is, when God
I don't know
is
how fast they
near,
can go. Did he say they could go faster than the speed of light? They do
if
go
I'm not
very fast.
mistaken, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they can go up to very high
Yeah, I think
speeds,
they
even
can go
faster than the speed
faster.
of light. Yeah, because they can like travel in the universe and
Hmm.
look
Right, right,
and see
right.
more things,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think it has to be faster than the speed of light because
yeah,
otherwise it would take them a long time.
yeah. And then so this thing that's happening, right? The thing with the mention. Um, Even if Suleiman is not doing it himself, one of like one of the jinns is doing it. Can we consider this still as a miracle? This thing that
Yeah,
he does, right?
I think I wouldn't consider this a miracle in the sense that the jinns can do it, you know. So it's like all
Oh,
within, yeah, it's all within their power. But I think the miracle in here is the fact that God has subdued the jinns for him, right? I
and he
mean,
can control them.
nobody in the world, even people who have access to communicate with these jinns, are able to have this kind of a dominion where the jinns are working for them, right?
Mhm.
So
And can we say that in that time when Suleiman is like controlling all of them, um, like um, the, the devil isn't controlling them, right? But he is at the moment.
well, when we say the devil, I mean, are you talking about Satan?
Yeah, the Satan. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because devils are can be between among humans and jinns, right? And
Yeah, I'm talking about
the
Satan.
jinns, yeah, and the jinns that actually work for him, they were not all righteous jinns. I mean, a lot of them were devils, as the Quran calls it, and but they had no option. They were like part of his army. Like for example, if today someone a submitter was in power, they would have an army. Doesn't mean that everybody working for him would be a righteous submitter. They would all just be
Mm.
working as for whatever reason they'd have to work. You know, and they were just made to work for him. And they had no
Be part
choice
of it.
but to work for him.
Yeah, cause
So
yeah, yeah, like the word
yeah.
afraid, I never until like I looked it up. I always wondered, but I think the meaning is like a powerful demon or something. So yeah, like not all of them
Mhm.
were righteous, you know. But I guess, you know, like, yeah, like they were subdued to his service, you know, kind of like you said, like they had to obey and stuff. And maybe they got
Yeah.
punished if they didn't or something.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the title is of verse 38 is faster than the speed of light.
Right,
So
precedence.
yeah. And then you know, it also says the one who possessed knowledge from the book said, and the book is just like is that an existing book at the time where there is knowledge about the jinn world and of them, or is it like something else? Is it like an instruction book, or is it like a similar book like the Quran, for example?
Right. I think there's one place in the Quran where it talks about how the two jinns uh, were sent with some information, right?
The angels, you mean?
Yeah.
The angels were sent.
Harut and
Yeah.
Marut, right?
Yes, those were angels
Yeah.
to teach the people, and they taught them something, but they used it.
Yeah, they use it for sorcery
in,
and all that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense,
like,
you know, because I think, like, there's even remnants, I think, of, like, these people today that, it's interesting because, like, the people, kind of like Solomon was saying, like, that, worship demons or something, or they get into, like, these books like, sorcery or witchcraft. Like, there's a name, I think, they like, there's one of them, or it's, like, called the Book of Goetia, Goetia, and I think they attribute, I don't know, it could be completely wrong, but they attribute it to Solomon or some type of Solomon is tied to this stuff. Like if you look into it, he's somehow tied into it. So maybe, yeah, that makes sense. Cause,
Yeah, actually, everybody who commits, who is involved in stuff like that, you know, like they use this to
sorcery.
say Solomon was doing this, you know, or like this is from Solomon.
yeah, that's
You know,
exactly. That's
yeah.
what they think it's like,
Yeah.
okay, or something, or but they got
But
knowledge.
God prohibits that.
Maybe
But
for
Yeah,
God
God
prohibits that, and it says like you will go to hell for doing sorcery.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the knowledge that was given to them, you know, the angels said that it said that the angels did not divulge in such knowledge without
it's like a
telling
test.
them that this was a test,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so
Okay.
maybe they could have used it for something good, like, you know, like instead of breaking up marriages, because that's the context that it used, instead of benefiting them, they used it for like things that would hurt them. But
Yeah, also
What is it?
they failed
yeah,
their
also
test.
yeah. Go ahead, Jaffer.
Yeah, yeah. So like, what is it that they are doing there? Like, of course, like we don't have the exact information in the Quran how they perform that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are no details there about it.
Mm-hmm. But
Is
I mean,
it like some kind of a spell, or is it like?
they're different creatures. They have they're made differently. You know, their physics is everything is different. You know, so they can transport things and move things the way we can't because of it. Right? It's just the very nature. You know, like the angels, for example, right? They were the I mean, Satan was an angel, right? And God had given him these powers and stuff, right? So God had designed the angels differently so they can perform all these things, travel back and forth. And in a similar fashion, like the jinns are built differently, so they have different abilities. And I mean, so they're able to travel, they're able to do things that we humans can. We can't comprehend. We don't have knowledge on how the angels travel, for example, right? The same
Yeah,
way.
so the jinns are closer to the abilities of the angels because the devil says, right? Satan says, you made me from fire and him from mud."
Mm-hmm.
Like they're almost the similar material of
Well,
what the
I
angels
don't know
are.
exactly.
Maybe,
I mean,
maybe I shouldn't ask
Yeah,
because
yeah. I
it's
mean, I
like,
think is, you know, the thing is, it is tempting to, tempting to, speculate
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
But the thing is, it kind of we kind of like charter in this unknown territory. So,
Yeah, yeah. We don't have the information, so
yeah, yeah. But I think
yeah.
like a lot of things could have been included in this story, right? Like the things we see, for example, from the Bible and stuff about him and Sheba, and he married her and all this stuff. I mean, there's so much detail, but God doesn't give us all the details. Like whether Solomon married Sheba or not, like that is irrelevant for
This is
us for our
yeah.
salvation. But was the important part was that she submitted to God, and after seeing all this, she accepted and became a submitter. And Solomon was informed about this beforehand, also, mashallah. So all these things that are relevant, I guess, for us to know that God wants us to know are confirmed in the Quran.
Yeah, so for example, when he says there, the one who had knowledge from the book, right?
Mhm.
And then the question occurs, and then you say, okay, but what is this book? Where is it? Is it the physical book? Is the book like the Quran, or is it different? Should we think about these details, or should we say like, okay, there is this book, probably a book where there's information about these things, and there where they can read and then learn, and probably this one, he learned these things and he knew how to do it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
right?
think we can just go by what we see in the Quran and what is not
Yeah.
there. I mean, we don't really know, and it's okay to say we don't know what we don't know, what we can't know.
Yeah, but sometimes the messenger of the covenant, like he explains things, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and with his explanation, more things come clear. Like
Mm-hmm.
the whole idea. Remember the script that he wrote? When
Mm-hmm.
I read that one, like that made things so clear to me. I
Mm-hmm.
never understood the whole story, starting from the suspicion, the idea, the idea that Satan had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until like how we came to the world and all these things, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have this clear
Mm-hmm.
point of view.
Yeah.
But with the explanation, how he puts it together,
Mm-hmm.
that helps a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the messenger, we're not the same as the messenger in the sense that he had angels assist him like Gabriel, and
Mm-hmm.
inspiration from God, guidance from God in the sense that we don't have, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
he had the liberty to explain a role as a messenger to
Mm-hmm.
give that information to us, right?
And
He
it
was
makes
that
all
person.
sense, like all
Yeah.
the things that he was telling us about these things. Then he was, oh, like, oh, that's it, right? It makes real sense
Makes sense. Yeah.
that it's like that, mashallah.
Yeah. Yeah, but we know, like, he wasn't saying things out of his own opinion. Like a lot of times, people will say, "Well, he said this was his opinion, and it's not in the Quran." For example, someone can say that about his explanations, right? But we know that he was a messenger. That was his job as a messenger, to explain things that are information, new information that is from the Quran. That was not been revealed to us, and as long as he can provide references to it, I mean, we have no reason not to accept it. And but yeah, I mean, for us, we can just speculate, and maybe we might be wrong, so
Yeah,
um,
but we shouldn't. We shouldn't. Like if there's information and the messenger has given it like that, we should take,
yeah,
of
I
course. But
mean,
if there isn't,
yeah, I mean, to me, exactly, yeah. So like for me, like if I know or don't know what exactly this book was, I mean, it doesn't, I mean, it does increase my knowledge in the sense, but it doesn't change anything about the story. I think the important part for me to focus would be like the actual parts of the story, like for example, like which book it was is a good piece of information, but not necessarily directly something that I should be focused on. That's
yeah,
why
or else God
things
would
are
have
kind of, yes, things are,
God would have said that, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
He
maybe
So
would
that's
like
say
why,
like this book, and in this book
right.
we have written this and
yeah. And
that,
then
and
we
like
start
we
talking
give him
about
give
this
him
book, and then we forget the main moral of the
the
entire
main
Right.
concept.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question about Sarah. Excuse me, verse 30. So I would say the footnote, it is from Solomon, and it is in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Um, it was left that Bismillah that was missing from Surah 9. Was there a reason given to us that it was missing from that surah? If I want to say I remember, or if I'm remembering correctly, it was because it was like an ultimatum to the disbelievers, and it was, I guess, maybe appropriate that it didn't start out with that or something. Or am I just thinking of
Oh,
something?
because like of course God knew that they would add these two verses in 9, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. I could, yeah.
yes,
Okay. Right. That's
yeah, and
what I
then
remember.
yeah, and then immediately like 19 verses, sorry, chapters after the missing Bismillah, you have the chapter where you have these two Bismillahs. But I remember that the messenger said that he said, yeah, like God knew that they would add these two things, and it's a part of the whole thing. That's one part. It's not the whole, of course. There are more reasons why it's chapter 9, but the one of the reasons is, of course, that God knew that they would add it. That's what I remember, at least.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons, right? Like
Yeah.
Jeff, you said, but also like the other most more important part of it is the whole mathematical structure of the Quran. You know, like missing Bismillah and the second Bismillah. You know, the number of words in between and the number of letters in between are all multiples of 19, and so it plays an important parameter of the mathematical miracle itself, the
Mhm.
structure of the mathematical miracle, to have no Bismillah in the beginning and then have a Bismillah on verse 30. So, I mean, if
And
we
also
go,
numbered Bismillahs and not numbered Bismillahs, right? So because when they were
yeah,
counting
the
the
number,
Quran,
yeah.
yeah, so
So
they added those.
there's only two numbered Bismillahs. There's one in the Surah 1, which is the part of the Al-Fatiha, and then this is the second one. So these are the only two numbered Bismillahs. And so numbered and unnumbered plays a very important role
Yeah.
in
That
the
makes total
mathematical
sense.
miracle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also one of the things that we can clearly see, and the messenger also talks about that, is that God doesn't give them any excuses. Like they would say, yeah, but you're counting the Bismillahs, but these they don't have numbers. Okay, and then they say, yeah, but this one you shouldn't add or you should add. So in all these parts, you have numbered Bismillahs, you have unnumbered Bismillahs, but you have also a place where you don't have any Bismillah. So um, this is definitely uh, like God system where he doesn't give any excuse to anyone at all. Also, like the same with remember about reading the first chapter. They said, yeah, but the Quran is actually not written. It's like sounds, right? They said it's what is it called? Monologue? No, I don't. Mm. So they say it's revealed as a sound. It's not written. And then the messenger says, yeah, like if you read the first verse, which is sent down, it says read, like read in the name of God, right? So God has these things that He's doing to remove all excuses for not believing in this miracle.
Yeah, and what makes it even more great too is like I told somebody one time. I said, like the way it was revealed in chronological order would even be harder, because how could you, like, even if you were trying to make some mathematical code and revealing a book to this length, and have it, sound beautiful, and there's like it makes sense and everything's perfect in it, and then you have to reorganize it, like you're writing. You wrote down so many different like steps, or where this verse goes, and then where this surah goes, and what comes after and before, and that even adds to it, because it wasn't just like that in the first place, because having to keep track because you got to keep track the first time, and then you got to do it again, and so that just adds like to me, for me, that makes it even more awesome.
Yeah, like from wherever you look at the miracle, right? It's so perfect. Um, like if someone wanted to try to imitate it, try to do the same, like where does someone start? And let's say you start somewhere, right? And you start to do it, but you know, you definitely come into a point like you don't have to wait for long, right? You start trying doing the same, and then within a few minutes, actually, you can realize that you can do it, something like this, in this extent, of course. And that makes it, of course, a big a miracle, one of the biggest God says, right?
Mashallah, and it proves God's omnipotence, Like they tried everything to change the word, to go against God. In the end, the messenger of the covenant came, everything was fixed, everything according to God. And it just shows that God knows everything, knows the future, and He knew that all this was going to happen. It's amazing. Even something as little as the where the spelling of Mecca is spelled Becca. That's something amazing. It's something so big. Mashallah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, mashallah. Like the verse, says how God, if God and angels will, they could have prevented, the devil from interfering with the messengers and prophets' wishes. So I'm guessing like that stuff, when it happens, it's set up as a test for people. The unappreciative probably won't get the true Quran or won't accept it, and then appreciative will. So yeah, it is a blessing.
yeah, Marshall. I think also it's great that God has explained, this the entire account of Lot in the Quran, and He explains it multiple times. Many chapters in the Quran. We hear about this story, and also interesting that majority of the people know about the story of Lot, like Christians and Jews, of course, and Muslims, and yet like we see, and we have their history preserved by God. If you go to these sites, I mean, you can see the remnants of what happened to them. You see the ruins, you see the rocks, and you see everything else, and that clearly points out to the fact that this was the truth. This actually happened, and we, for a fact, have the mathematical confirmation on top of it, right? But we still see people practicing it, and not only just practicing it, but people practicing it openly, and then advocating it, and then being proud of it on top of it, and then encouraging others to be part of it by having these holidays and special days and all these things, and flags and all that stuff. And now we have people making it into accepting these things into these people, and this type of evil behavior into the religion, like More recently, we had like these some of the public like prominent popular figures, like the CEO of Apple and some other people like even say things like blasphemous things. Like I remember the CEO of Apple said that he's gay, and he said it was a blessing from God. He said that he was gay.
That's,
Like, how's that a blessing from God? You know how big of a blessing it was when he dies, but
yeah, I'm sure getting
very over.
AIDS is a
Yeah,
blessing, Like,
yeah. Mm.
yeah, Steve Jobs supposedly, I mean, love or hate the man, he had liver. I mean, it leaked out, just stuff from my dad told me. But yeah, he suffered. He wasn't homosexual, but I mean, he suffered from
Mm.
venereal disease that pretty much destroyed his liver. And I mean, with his money, he got to live longer by going through operations. But I mean, it was kind of known. Uh, but
Hmm.
yeah, this I don't know why he picked that guy. Because Tim Cook,
Hmm.
he really said it was a blessing.
Yeah, it was a big headline, in the newspaper.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I'm seeing there's churches today that are like openly inviting homosexuals and like these I don't remember what denomination, but and it's crazy. It's it's interesting too to see like how the people of Lot, they recognize Lot's family as being pure, you know. I guess, but like today, it's like they think they may be pure or something, or they don't
Hmm.
acknowledge their wickedness.
Yeah. So this is
Maybe they're
I
worse
found the
today.
article.
I don't know. Kind of like you said, like they're more open or something, or like they're pushing pushing it or something on
Mhm.
people.
Yeah, I found the article. I'm gonna post it here in the chat where he told I believe it was it? It says he told CNN. He said, "Being gay is God's greatest gift to me." Yeah, I posted the link in the chat.
Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
at it.
that was headlines.
Uh,
I mean, no, you don't. I mean, that's like another level, right? I mean, now you're saying it's God's gift.
right.
Uh, so, I mean, this is the level of sin in this evil behavior that people have gone to, where they're calling it a gift from God. Like it's like a gift I have, you don't have. You know,
Right. They're trying to justify it like to the
I'm more
extreme.
special than you, in other
Yeah.
words.
We are not lucky to be gays.
Mashallah, it's like the same thing like as being a hypocrite too. You can't say you're gay and that you're a submitter and you're a believer or you're a Christian and you're gay or
Hmm.
getting married in these
Yeah,
churches now that
we had one
are
person who
marrying
actually,
people.
well, not one person, actually more than one person who had been
What
trying to
happened to
like
him?
slowly bring it into the religion. Like people wrote, like, if you read this book, Lisa Spray from Mr. Tucson, she brought this, and then it's also there on their website, actually. This woman who says that she's a submitter, and she says that uh, she was homosexual, but she doesn't act on it. You know, and if you don't act on it, and well, like that somehow makes it fine, or something like that. And then so this other hypocrite who actually infiltrated in our study, he was actually gay, and then he lied and he said we were talking about homosexuality, and the way it came out was that he was part of our study, and then we said something about cancer, and he said, yeah, I agree with that. My father was evil and he had cancer, and then and then we talked about homosexuality, and then he started talking against. He said, but no, they're not bad and all this stuff. And then, like, why are you saying that and stuff? And then he says his brother was gay. And then
Yeah.
then we said, okay, well, just because your brother is gay doesn't mean that it's fine to be gay or something. So we talked about that, and then we found out then he was lying. He was actually gay himself, And he said, okay, I lied, and I'm this. And then for the longest time, like he kept going back and forth, saying that he was born that way, and like all these kind of excuses
That's a
he was trying.
lie.
And I mean, all of these are proven wrong by science,
Right.
And then,
Yeah, and he
yeah,
had this
and,
picture
yeah,
of him, right? Remember, like,
yeah, very bad picture of
Yeah, I
him.
remember because
yeah.
when the topic of Lot came up, he started like defending Lot's people.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was like, man, is this dude trolling or is it? But no, it turns out
Hmm.
after
Hmm.
talking, yeah, I was like, wow, he's
Yeah,
understanding.
And you
yeah,
have
and
the
then,
video or the voice recording where the messenger says, like, you don't do a good thing by giving the so-called rights for these people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
hmm.
what. And then he talks about them having HIV, and it's true. Mostly everybody that disease is just targeted to them. And it's a horrible disease too. You suffer a lot. The messenger, the covenant talks about that how they can't destroy a whole place no more. So boom, HIV.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if there was nothing but gays on the earth. I mean, we would go extinct. So I mean, there's like even for there's like scientific evidence. I mean that just the most simple stuff but Satan, I guess,
Yeah.
is trick these people.
Hmm. Yeah, also these people, they're like a lot of them would say, like including that guy, they kept attributing it to God, right? We know nothing bad comes from God,
Right? Who's
and
more
he
evil
kept
than one
saying,
who lies about God?
yeah, and then he kept saying that, he was born with it, like God made him born, come to this world with this thing, and attributing it to God being part of it, and trying to bring like false theories and that they have made up, to back it up to say it's like genetic or things like that, and all of that has been proven wrong. But the point I'm trying to make here is that attributing something bad to God, something evil to God, like you can't say like, for example, a person who likes to steal things, like they say, oh, well, that's a disease. Also,
Right.
they call it kleptomania, right? And a person who likes to and try to justify it and try to gain sympathy from the people. It's like, oh, I have this disease, I can't really help myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go and commit sins, but God is just, and he doesn't like do stuff like
Exactly.
letting people be born in a way that they can't help themselves and just commit evil. But the thing is that when these people, they enjoy it, a sinful act, and they reinforce this behavior by doing it over and over again, then of course they build, as God says, they became accustomed to their simple
Simple
acts,
ways,
you
yeah.
know. So they become
Yeah, you
accustomed to their
can.
simple acts, and then they don't want to go back. And I
Mm-hmm.
noticed the
Yep.
same thing with this person,
And then they try to
as
blame it.
yeah, I noticed the same thing with this person. Like when I talked to him, and I told him that he needs to fix himself, like because the messenger says you try to talk them out of it. So I tried to talk him out of it, and then to some degree it would work. But then when it actually would come to the part of being getting to know a female or being closer to a female, like he would make up excuses like, no, I don't want to ruin someone's life, and like, oh, I don't even want to go near a woman, like things like that. I'm just shocked, like,
What?
what is it, like, I'm not trying to tell you to be with a monster. Like it just almost like
MashaAllah, that
you
makes
actually
that makes
become
you not want to be around him.
you become agitated.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
thing is, when you open the door for these illusions that they have, right? They can say, yeah, this is given when I was born to me, right? This was like a natural thing. Like someone who is gambling can say the same thing. He can say like, when I was born, my brains were just like in this state where I really like gambling, and then he can use that also as an excuse.
Hmm.
Like you can
Mm-hmm.
make up like a lot of things with this. If
Hmm.
someone is like
Liar.
even yeah, like you have these dangerous people, right, who just go and rape people and kill people, like kill
Serial
people,
killer.
and then
Yeah,
they say,
exactly.
yeah, like it's psychological and I can't help it, and that's why you have also these places where they put people instead of being in what is it called, in jail, they bring them to other places, right? They say, yeah, they are just crazy, or they are killing because they are not really okay in their heads. So you can make up all these excuses to do all
Yeah.
these bad things.
Yeah, it's like they're
Yeah,
trying
and
to say
this.
they don't have a free will. Like they literally came here for this test to test out the free will, which was obviously not smart. But I mean, these people probably were like really. I mean, God knows the soul, but I'm guessing that these people were really bad in the first life, and they're just acting out and carrying out on their badness. I know that's not a word, but they're just carrying that out in this life, and they're still trying to blame, you know. Yeah.
Also, brothers, God doesn't say, like when God talks about these people, like Lot, most of the time, when Lot's people, he never says nothing good about it. It's always bad. Like what he did to what happened to these people because of their own consequences. Like there's nothing good. It's all bad. And God's word is absolute. So there's really nothing. It's just, it's God's word, and it's bad basically. There's no good in it. Like there's really nothing they can say, that makes it okay for them to be that way.
Yeah, and now you have you have like also in Islam, you have these gay imams also, right? Heard about that?
No, I
Yeah,
haven't, brother.
brother.
In the U.S.
Oh,
We had one
Really?
here. We had one here, a Moroccan guy, and then he was like an imam. He said he was imam,
Oh, in
right? But
Netherlands.
then, yeah. Like in like people from Morocco. Like he was a Moroccan
Uh-huh.
guy, and he was so called an imam. But like it didn't last for long.
Uh-huh.
Who's gonna go to a
Right.
mosque? Yeah, even the Sunnis, or they are not going to
Right.
accept it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's something that when it comes to mosques and stuff, there's a lot of homosexuality that goes on in the mosques more than other places, actually. Like if you look in Islam, for example, at least in certain countries, it's very prevalent, because these people, they study and live in the mosques, and they don't go to their homes, and they don't go with the wives and whatever, you know, and then they are pedophiles and homosexuals, you know, and we see the same thing inside like other religions, like in Christianity. It's very the abuse that happens in Christianity. There's all these people, young people, getting molested by all these church figures, right? And Catholic Church specifically, I think, like in countries
Yeah,
like Ireland
and
and
the
stuff,
Mormons too.
there's a
Like,
huge scandal. Yeah.
yeah, like I don't. There was a huge scandal, but you remember that y'all probably heard about, but that blonde-haired woman, I forget her name, but it was like national news. It's been ongoing for the past 2 years, but the abuse that was happening to her children, and like she's either yeah, pretty sure she belongs to the LDS, Latter Day Saints, Mormons, but yeah,
Hmm.
like her children like were tied up and stuff, and this in one of her friends' houses and getting abused. Like, I don't think sexually, but I mean psychologically, they were so messed up. Like when the cops arrived, and it was a huge deal.
Hmm.
Like her and this lady are facing like prison time, and this is happening. Like it happens within these churches and these
Hmm.
people, and it's just so terrible. You know?
Yeah.
yeah, brothers, it's true. Like the Catholic churches, like you hear all the time in those churches, and people just rub it off. Like, don't you see the whole article that how they were talking about these horrible things, and they just rub it off and still continue, to go to church, and it's horrible. It happens a lot in Catholic churches.
Yeah, Ruby Frankie is her name. Yeah, she was charged with child abuse and starvation of her kids.
it just goes to show you, like how they don't follow the laws of God, instead of them searching for the right way and, coming across the Quran, like they stay in that wickedness, because they don't have the true source, and I guess God is not guiding them, but it just shows you like how wicked these people are. They say that they believe in God and that they're righteous and do these horrible things. It just exposes them, their wickedness.
So I think Brother Abdullah had a question also about something which was related to the games of chance. So if nobody else has any other comments about the verses, we could probably discuss the games of chance. So he asked our WhatsApp group.
Yeah, brother. So we had in the Turkish study this question going on,
Uh,
and like yeah, one of someone asked it actually out of the group if this was like a chance game, um,
Yeah, I think
and it is
we covered that like last year or something. You remember?
yeah,
mhm.
and remember the same thing with a prophet Jonah when he was in the ship, and then they did what is it called? They had these sticks or something else, and then he was the one every time when they did it.
Sorry, what?
Well, like you remember when the prophet Jonah he was in the ship
Uh huh.
in the boat,
Uh huh.
and then the people in the boat they said that, like when something happens like this, then um, there is someone uh, who did bad to his Lord, something like that.
Well, I mean,
Did you
it's not in
remember?
the Quran.
Was that not in the Quran?
Yeah, I don't think it's in the Quran though.
And then he was chosen every time, and then they. Oh, okay, then I'm mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, that part is
Yeah.
not.
So.
Yeah, that was in the Bible with the sticks thing or something.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. What is this? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing is that so there's gambling and then there's games of chance, right? So the difference between gambling and games of chance is that both of them, like in the context of Quran, both of them are victimizing people. As the Messenger of the Covenant explains, like when there's a victim, there's a sin, right? And so what makes uh, games of chance and gambling sinful is the part that there's monetary value tied to it, like money or objects of monetary value that are used, in both of them. So the games of chance and gambling both involve chance, right? But in gambling, what how gambling is different is that gambling has some level of skills also involved, whereas a pure game of chance is just purely based on chance, right? For example, a good example of gambling is like poker, where there's also skill involved in some sorts, or some other sport where there is skill involved and you have gambled money based on some element of chance. So there'd be a victim in that sense in both of those situations, because someone's going to lose money and someone else's may uh, get something out of it. But either way, I mean, those things are prohibited, right? But for example, like you have lots of games that you play, like for example, on your computer, on your phone, or with a friend, where you're just playing something to kill time, and doesn't involve any money or anything of that nature. So those are, as such, are not considered like quote unquote games of chance, because it doesn't involve anything. And so, like for example, the raffle that they drew to select her guardian was not something that was tied to a monetary value where people had to chip in money to win her guardianship or something like that. There's no monetary gain involved for any of those people who had to be the guardian. So that was just something that they drew out of random, like to avoid some kind of bickering that someone says, no, I want to be the guardian, and someone says, no, I want to be the guardian. And then they'd be like, oh, well, what makes you so special that you become our guardian? And they're like, okay, let's just do it randomly. Let's pick a person, let's put all the names and just pick one randomly and just give it, let that person be the guardian. It doesn't matter. And then they all agree to it. So that's
So,
not.
brother, there is this thing system in Turkey,
Mhm.
and I think the question came from there. Is you have these buildings that the government makes, and then he sells them to people, and most of the times these houses, these apartments, are like much more cheaper than normal apartments, but they are built very well and in a very good way. So a lot of people who cannot afford to buy a normal house, they go there and then put their names in a list. But you have like millions of people
Yeah.
there in that list, and then then you have these moments where they have this computer program which selects from that list of people,
Right.
selects who are the winners for which house.
Mhm. Do they have to pay a fee to be part of it? Like, not other than their application
No, no,
fee?
no, 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 no. You just write your name there, and then like you shouldn't have a lot of money. You shouldn't be like a rich guy, right?
Mhm.
And then if your name comes up, then you can buy the house, and then you don't have to pay everything at once. You just like rent the house, but then you become the owner. So the thing is, uh, uh, if you're not chosen, you have lost something as well, or not.
You haven't, right? Because you said
Sorry?
you don't pay anything.
No, no, no. Of course, you don't pay anything, but you have lost the chance to be able to be an owner of that house.
Yeah,
Right?
you could say the
Like
same thing about guardianship of, someone got something that someone else didn't get. But the thing
Yes.
is, it's not a game of chance because they didn't have to put money into it. There was no money involved, or no nothing of monetary value that they had to put like their car or something, or anything like that.
Yeah,
There's
but can
nothing.
we say that? But can we say that
It's just like a
losing the
lottery.
opportunity? Yeah. So losing the opportunity to be the owner of
Well, I mean, if
a
everybody,
valued entity,
yeah, but if
No, I
is
mean you
that
everybody
could
not
say the
wanted to
something?
same
be,
thing
like, if
for a
everybody
lot of
wanted to
things.
be the
Like,
guardian, then I mean, they would lose the opportunity whether I just like, or someone just decided this guy or this woman to be the guardian. It's still equal opportunity, whatever way you look at it. The way I saw it, it's just their way and their custom to be able to decide among people who are probably arguing with each other. Like, no, there was like 10 people that wanted to be her guardian. Let's say who were all fit and good people. I mean, well, how else are you gonna pick somebody? Because if you just decide to pick this person, then literally nine out of those other people always had a 0% chance. But if you do a raffle, then everyone has a fair chance. I guess that's the way I look at it.
hmm yeah, no one is victimized in that sense.
Yeah,
They're
you're
just
actually
trying
right.
to
You're
avoid.
actually victimized if you just bias and be like, no, I'm going to pick this guy because he has blue hair or something, or black hair, versus like, no, let's do a raffle. Then, okay, I have a 10% chance, you have a 10% chance, and we're all happy. So whoever gets picked, they can go home and feel like they weren't discriminated or wronged in any
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you say losing something, losing something is talking about losing something of, like, did you lose any money? Did you lose your keys? Did you lose your car? Now, losing an opportunity is not really like opportunity can in itself is not something that
Yeah, like
is of
losing the
monetary value, you know?
opportunity
Like, for example,
to
they have
use the
lottery.
house.
Yeah, they have lottery for green card all the time, you know, where, you know, people are chosen at random to increase the diversity in the U.S. And then someone can say, well, I lose the opportunity to become an American citizen.
Mashallah, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
you
like
explained it.
that means you lost a lot of money.
It'll be,
Yeah,
it'll,
I could go and make a lot of money.
it'll be the
But you
same
can also
thing.
become homeless, right?
Yeah, I think also for Hajj, in a lot of countries where there are too many people going for Hajj, like I know in Morocco, they still have lottery. In Pakistan also, they used to have
In
lottery for
Turkey
Hajj
too, yeah.
for people. Yeah. So because there's just simply too many people, you know, and they can't let everybody go, you know, so they just figure out a way to try to limit. Yeah, so.
Okay, mashallah, yeah, that makes a lot clear. Is Abdullah here? If he isn't, then oh, he is here, mashallah. Yeah, so we can discuss the same thing in the Turkish study, inshallah, on Friday.
Mhm.
And to make it clear, because I said like it seems to me, like I wasn't sure, of course, because there is chance involved, and the word is chance. It's like something similar as playing like a lottery.
No, in the lottery you have to pay money, right? And these people lose money because they keep buying the lottery tickets, and
Yeah,
you know, they're poor people. They keep buying. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter if you're poor or rich, but like they keep paying into it, you know, hoping that they're gonna win big, so their money, you know, to become rich. Yeah.
Yeah, brother. Like basically, like in a raffle, nobody loses because nobody put nothing, in the first place. So everybody gets a fair chance to win. Basically, don't see nothing bad.
other comments or questions or off topic? Or I had just left. I had
Uh,
left for a minute. I just came back.
I got an off-topic question about the age of 40. You know when God says they're promised the lower heaven. What about the jinn? Like, what happens to the jinn? Does it change for them? Like, do they keep on just do they like? Does it change for them? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So actually, there's an audio that where this is talked about and clarified. So
Okay.
no, the age of 40 it just applies to the human being.
Right.
Now for the if a human dies before the age of 40, that person's jinn can still go to hell, and they don't have that same. The messenger talked about this, and he also explained why, because he said part of it, or the reason he was talking about, or he gave, and it makes perfect sense too, is that you remember in the beginning how the jinns were took a more harder, or they took a firmer stand
A
against God
stronger
with
firm
Satan.
stand, yeah.
Yeah, and so he said this is God takes this into account, so there's actually going to be more the humans that make it to 40, their jinns don't necessarily, they could still go on as evil disbelievers. I mean, they could turn believers, but there's going to be yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
so
why they
it's
live
different.
longer and they can see more proofs and they can travel to the whole universe and they can see
Mashallah.
all the
So
things that
so
God
the
has created.
40, right? The 40 it only applies to human our soul, right? And the
Yeah,
jinn
because when a
stays.
human dies, the jinn doesn't die with him. The demon is
Right.
the companion actually until the moment that
So
the human
it's up to
dies, it's a companion.
yeah.
And then when he's released, when the human dies, then he becomes a jinn. And then they live longer, like around, if I'm not mistaken, 300 years, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, in average.
And you could
How long
probably
they live.
say too that they know, like, when that happens, do they see like, oh yeah, this person got saved? Like, do they know about it? And it could probably help them. It could help them go to that route. Can you say? Like, do they know about that?
I didn't
That
understand that. I didn't
like
understand the question.
do you think you can say that the jinn is aware, like when like say somebody dies at 40 and they go to the lower heaven, like do the jinn know about this, and they could be like
Or
it
if
could be
that
like a
person goes to
revelation to
heaven or
them.
not?
Yeah, if he
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he can. No, he can know this because the thing is this. For example, if you have a human being, like the messenger talks about this companion, and he says, like all the qualities that humans get. For example, if you are a doctor, or if you're a dentist, or if you're like a plumber,
Yeah.
the qualities that you have learned, the jinn companion, he learns it with you, and everything that
Okay.
you hear, see, and everything that you feel, they feel the same and they see the same. Like they also
Mashallah.
have this knowledge, and he gives the example of this. They had this thing where the wife of a man which died, they tried to trick by saying that that person was reborn or came, his soul went into his wife. And then the messenger says, yeah, they should ask him if he is the jinn companion of that person. And then he could, like, they were asking questions that only he could know. And then she was answering them correctly. And then the messenger says, yeah, like that was the jinn companion. That's why he knew all these things and he was talking like him and he was exactly that person. So, yeah, so they know these things. And if someone is like at 35 years old and they know about the message and they know about the age 40, that when someone dies before the age of 40, that you go to heaven, like we know that, right? We know if someone dies and we're asking, okay, how old was he or she? And if they say she was 30 years old, then we say, oh, okay, so she went to heaven. She is in heaven right now. The soul is in heaven right now. The same comes for the knows the information. If
Right.
like for example, if I die right now, my companion knows that anyone who dies before the age of 40 goes to heaven, so I will go to heaven, and he will know that.
Right. Okay. Yep. That's what I was. That's what I was asking. Mashallah.
Yeah, good explanation.
A good question, brother. Mashallah, very good question.
Yeah, I have an off-topic question. So, like, say you're using fruit or something, like if you don't really have access to targets or something, like you get a few melons or whatever, and you use it for target practice, like let's say you're shooting a bow and arrow or something, is that considered wasteful? Like using some like watermelons, like provide you don't have access to a target or you know traditional stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, I remember
You know how God
that
tells
then
not
the
to-
moment you asked this question, I was thinking of the. Sorry?
Wait, you were thinking of what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, like the video where the messenger speaks about, he says, right, eat and drink, but in moderation, right? Do you remember the video where it speaks about that? Eat and drink, but in moderation, not too much. Do not fill your stomach too much. So I see this as in a few ways. Like, first of all, eating not too much is good for your body. Like, you're taking care of your body, and then it's healthy, and it's bad to add too much because it's bad for your body. And the other part is you don't waste, right, by eating too much. So, in the other part, you're like destroying that thing, destroying some food is different than even like eating it. If eating too much is a bad thing, maybe destroying it is even worse because no one is eating it.
What if
On the other hand,
feed it,
you
if I
have
feed it
also
maybe to some cows or something nearby, or
yeah,
some
yeah,
birds,
that's what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, so then, and even if you don't do that, like who is eating the watermelon after you hitting on it, right? You have these bacteria, you have like so many things. In reality, it doesn't. Nothing goes to waste, right? In reality, it goes back to the nature.
Yeah, you
So,
could fertilize maybe or something.
yeah. So, but like, I'm not really sure, of course, but these things came up to my mind.
That's good.
Mashallah, brother. I would say like just find anything else, right? Like bottles or anything like that. I wouldn't say like it's okay to like shoot to like waste fruit or food, you know. That's what I would say. Mashallah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like I'm just throwing a good fruit out. I mean, it is for a purpose, like, you know, target practice. But, yeah, I guess if I can find a use for it after or something, or feed it to some birds, because there's a lot of birds out here. And
Yeah, mashallah, right.
cows, like, there's cows I see pretty much every day. So, yeah, I can...
Yeah,
It's the same as cutting, actually, right? If you're going to use it for your animals,
I mean, really, I can
like
eat
you
it
can
myself.
also cut the thing,
if
or
if I use a...
you can strip to it and then cut as well.
Yeah, so just don't just like be negligent and completely be wasteful. Cause find some way to resource it or recycle it.
mashallah, giving it to the birds and stuff like that. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
Mashallah. Did Brother Suleiman have to go? I think when he left, I went back inside. I wasn't here.
Oh, but he didn't say anything. He just left.
Oh, okay.
Like to me, something happened as well. Like I was just
I wasn't sure if you got disconnected or something.
offline. Yeah, I was disconnected the same, and then I tried to come back, but it didn't work for like 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Maybe he has this issues.
Mashallah, yeah, I noticed Suleiman, this that got that he just left, but I really didn't notice you, brother John, that you left. I thought you were still
Oh,
on
no,
the chat.
I was still here, but I left the vehicle and I had to go inside
Oh,
to get
okay.
something.
Yeah, Suleiman disconnected.
Okay.
Mashallah. Probably like something went on or something.
Well, if there's no other comments or questions, maybe God willing, we can conclude. If y'all are okay.
Yeah, brother, inshallah.
Inshallah. Well, thank you all for joining today, and God willing, our next study will be on Saturday at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. Pacific time. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
God bless you guys. Assalamu alaikum.